So next up we have Jason, who's going to teach us a little bit about the woodwind instruments.
So the woodwinds work a little bit differently than the strings. The strings actually make sense with science, and these sometimes just don't. Sure. The clarinet does a little bit, because see this white part right here? It's called a reed. It's actually made from bamboo. It is a reed. It's a single reed, so one reed goes on this mouthpiece, and it vibrates against it, and like he was talking about, vibrations make the sound. So the longer the instrument is, the more holes that I put down, the lower the note. Or the fewer I put down, and it can vary the pitch. And the woodwinds, he was talking about the strings in the orchestra, they are the rock stars. Debatable. We get to be the color because we have all the fun little bitty colors. So just like in the orchestra, Peter and the Wolf does the exact same thing, so we get to be characters. The strings are Peter, and this is, let me listen for you, you can have a guess at what it is. What does that sound like? What do you think that is? Like an animal maybe? A duck? That's a good guess. A duck is one of the other woodwinds that I'll talk about in a second. What do you think? Somebody said a cat. What does somebody else think?
Bear.
A bear? A wolf? Oh, it's not a wolf. One more time. We have heard it. Just so you know, we heard the answer. One more time. No, it's a cat. It is a cat. And you'll see her. She will pounce around. You know, cats have those light little bitty feet. So he used the clarinet to represent the cat. So, the flute works even more strangely. It doesn't have strings, and it doesn't have a reed. It just has a hole right here. Has anybody ever had, well, when there used to be Coke bottles? Yes. And you had a Coke bottle and you blew over a Coke bottle? Has anyone ever had an empty Coke bottle that you blew over a Coke bottle? Yeah. That's the way the flute works. Ask your grandparents for a Coke. Same principle with the long, so the more fingers I put down, the lower I go, and the more fingers I take off, the higher I go. Yeah? So what do we think that sounds like? It's the bird, right? Okay, now, I don't have the two other woodwind instruments that are used, but someone said a duck. And those two instruments that are the duck and the grandfather belong to the double reeds, the oboe and the bassoon. And I said the clarinet had one reed and it vibrated against the mouthpiece. Well, a double reed is just two reeds that vibrate against each other. So the oboe is about this big. It looks a lot like a clarinet, actually. It's about that big, and it sounds like a duck. You'll hear it. It's one of my favorites. And the bassoon is my absolute favorite, and it's like the grandfather. So you'll hear those two during the show. So those are the woodwinds.